This is Seven's Afternoon News, live and local across Queensland.
Hello and welcome to Seven's Afternoon News. I'm Kendall Gilding. The top stories this Thursday. Thick fog causes a horror smash near Ipswich. A man killed by a truck driven by his best mate. A farewell fit for champions. Townsville waves goodbye to the Cowboys as the Broncos lay in wait in Sydney. And work begins on the Sunshine Coast's new mega suburb. A man in his 60s has been killed after a truck driven by his mate rolled on top of his car. The men were driving through heavy fog on their way to work outside Ipswich. Chris Campy has more. Turning to the All-Queensland NRL Grand Final now, but before that, let me say a huge welcome to Olympic champion Giaan Rooney, who joined the Seven Sports Department. Giaan, big crowds turned out in Townsville to farewell the Cowboys.
Thank you so much, Kendall. I think I'm just as excited as the Cowboys supporters, as judging by the number of fans at the airport, you'd almost think the Cowboys had already won the NRL Championship. Marlena Watt joins us now live from Townsville. Marlena, what kind of send-off did fans give the players?
Giaan, it was a big, loud farewell party. Families lined the Strand cheering on the players.
Meanwhile, the Broncos' first training session in Sydney provided more questions than answers. Skipper Justin Hodges, back rower Alex Glenn and reserve forward Mitchell Dodds all played limited roles in the workout. But Wayne Bennett insists Hodges will play and acknowledged how important it was that his skipper was cleared at the judiciary. And Kendall will have more on Grand Final fever in sport at 5:15.
Excellent, thank you and welcome. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott is refusing to say if he has forgiven Malcolm Turnbull for taking his job. He's told Morning Radio there's been a lot of dirty water under the bridge. It comes as the new PM meets with key lobby groups considering how to reform the economy. Work has officially begun on a new affordable and sustainable city set to be the size of Gladstone. The $5 billion Sunshine Coast development will create almost 20,000 jobs and eventually be home to more than 50,000 Queenslanders. Reporter Mackenzie Lyon was at the launch.
The Sunshine Coast landscape is about to change forever. Stockland today launched its $5 billion Aura community development in South Caloundra.
Let's check on today's weather now. Here's meteorologist Tony Auden.
Good afternoon, Kendall. It's been a slow start for storms today, but we could still see a rumble near the coast in the next few hours. On the radar at the moment, there's a generous scattering of storms across the southeast, but nothing is looking too sinister just yet. The main focus is over the Gold Coast hinterland and also the Sunshine Coast hinterland, and cells are moving slowly towards the coast. No warnings are current, though there's still a reasonable chance we will see the odd storm moving over the coastal areas in the next couple of hours. Across the southeast, it's been a warm and fairly humid day. Ipswich, Archerfield and Beaudesert all reached tops of 29 degrees. Brisbane posted a top of 28. That's one above the October average after dropping to 14 degrees overnight. Now, Kendall, I'll be back soon with the latest on these storms and also the forecast.
Thanks, Tony. Still to come in this Queensland edition of Seven's Afternoon News, the passenger plane that really did land on a wing and a prayer. And important news for women about changes to cancer screening tests. There's been a shocking car accident at Mount Tamborine. A car has gone over a cliff with a person trapped inside near Tamborine, Oxenford Road and Elevation Drive. We'll bring you more information as we get it. Still to come, great news about the Gold Coast Light Rail project. And the latest on the spring property boom. Is it?
In 7 News, more spring storm warnings. Amazing scenes in Townsville as the Cowboys depart for Sydney and a scare at training for the Broncos. Blast off for Australia's new satellite, how it will change lives. And the Gold Coast prepares to farewell Henry the Polar Bear.
7 News, Queensland's #1. This is Seven's Afternoon News, live and local across Queensland.
Welcome back to Queensland's Afternoon News. The top stories today. Fans have lined the streets of Townsville bidding farewell to the Cowboys as they head to Sydney for Sunday's Grand Final. The Broncos are already there, completing their first private training session at a prestigious school. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott is taking to the airwaves again, refusing to be drawn on whether he's forgiven Malcolm Turnbull for mounting the coup. Mr Turnbull has been meeting with lobby groups to plan economic reforms. The number of Australian properties selling at auction is on the way down, prompting concerns of a slow start to the traditionally strong spring selling season. Tough day on the job for Josh Adsett. Let's have a quick look at today's sport. Here's Giaan.
Thank you, Kendall. And as you've seen, grand final fever is slowly taking over in Sydney. Both sides have arrived. The traditional media conference has just finished. Now there's a host of public appearances. Rowan Welsh has been in Sydney all week.
Well, the two grand final combatants get their chance to hype up some grand final fever for the all Queensland decider here in Sydney with some promo events throughout the evening at Darling Harbour. Townsville, of course, gave a phenomenal farewell to the Cowboys, but while that was happening, the Broncos were hard at it on the training paddock.
Hawthorn is expected to be at full strength for Saturday's AFL Grand Final against West Coast. After leading goal kicker Jack Gunston and skipper Luke Hodge completed today's training session in front of thousands of fans. The back-to-back premiers know Saturday's decider will be a challenge after playing every week of the finals.
You know, we're pretty mentally strong in that area, and you know, we're thankful that we got the double chance because we needed it this year, and I think, you know, that losing that game probably just got our focus back on track.
The Eagles went straight onto the plane this afternoon and will be ushered onto their team bus when they arrive in Melbourne tonight. The San Francisco 49ers are resisting calls to use Jared Hayne as their kick-off returner, but the former NRL star appears to have sealed the punt return role.
But that's not his strong suit. His strong suit is punt return, and that's what we're going to continue to let him, flourish.
The 49ers play the Green Bay Packers on Monday morning. You can see the match live and free on 7 Mate from 6:30. And Kendall will have more on finals fever tonight, including extensive coverage with Gilly on the NRL and the latest on Saturday's AFL decider with Paddy at 6.
It's a huge week. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Chiefs of the National Broadband Network collectively held their breath this morning as Australia's first NBN satellite was launched into space. Thankfully, the Sky Muster blasted off successfully and will soon improve broadband coverage across the country. More from Seven's tech editor, Durosen. So, are you connected to the NBN and are you happy with the speed of your internet? To have your say on today's talking point, head to our 7 News Queensland Facebook page. Weather with Tony is just ahead in 7's afternoon news. Also, how preparations are going for Henry the Polar Bear's Canadian adventure. And we'll tell you how to get your Facebook profile picture moving.
Good afternoon, Dave Andrews in the Good Life Health Pub's traffic chopper. Well, no big accidents around at the moment. We did have a broken down caravan though on the Gympie Arterial Road northbound. That's your run back through Aspley and Chermside. Very, very thick going this afternoon. Leaving the city on the Riverside Expressway and Captain Cook Bridge, that's starting to get a little bit busy as you make your way out of the city towards the Pacific Motorway and the Gateway northbound, chock-a-block from Eagle Farm all the way up pretty much to Nudgee. And live active your way. Join Good Life Health Clubs right now from as little as $14.95, plus get 30 days free, only for a limited time. T's and C's apply, and I'll check the roads again for you tomorrow.
This weather report brought to you by the final days of Beacon Lighting's up to 50% off everything sale. Now with further discounts. Shop in store or online.
Good afternoon. You're watching 7 News live and local across Queensland. Checking the weather now, and on the radar, storms are building over the Gold and Sunshine Coast hinterlands, and we could still see the odd rumble near the coast this evening, but no warnings are current at the moment. On the forecast chart, a high will turn winds northerly and bring scorching temperatures down from northern Australia towards the Bight, and in Queensland the atmosphere is set to stabilise with no more storms expected across the state tomorrow. Around the capitals, 38 degrees in Broome tomorrow, then grading down to 33 in Alice Springs and into the mid to high 20s in the south, but by Sunday most capitals will be pushing into the 30s. In northern Queensland, another dry day and southeast trade winds will keep temperatures fairly constant along the east coast, 29 degrees in Cairns and Townsville and 16 up to 28 in Mackay. Heading south, a bit of a change after the last few days of storms. We're looking at mostly sunny skies across the board, 16 up to 28 degrees in Gladstone. Across the southeast, a dry and warm Friday ahead with a little patchy cloud in the north, 14 to 27 on the Sunshine Coast, a top of 28 on the Gold Coast and up to 30 degrees in Ipswich. In Brisbane, plenty of sunshine on the way tomorrow, a mild 15 overnight before a top of 29 degrees. That's 2 above the October average. Kendall, I have more updates on these storms in the 6 p.m. news.
Thanks, Tony. We'll see you then. Taking a look ahead to 6 o'clock now, and Bill McDonald joins me. Bill, another day, another storm warning.
Kendall, we've started October the way we ended September, with all the eyes looking at the radar. The Bureau is predicting the possibility of more storm activity maybe into the evening. Tony Auden is monitoring all that. He'll tell us what to expect at 6. We can blame him if we don't get any.
Also, there's been a terrible accident at Ipswich today.
Yeah, it wasn't good at all, Kendall. Another fatality as our road toll climbs. This one was particularly heartbreaking, though. A man died after being crushed by a truck being driven by his friend. Now, we'll explain those tragic circumstances tonight, Kendall.
And also, some Algester residents have been digging deep to support a struggling neighbour.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story, this one. Some true neighbourhood spirit to help a man who's battling brain cancer. Locals banded together to renovate his house. Some were complete strangers. Now, we talked to them in a special report tonight at 6 o'clock. Wonderful story.
It is wonderful. We'll see you then with Sharon. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Kendall.
Thanks for watching 7's Afternoon News, live and local across Queensland. Stay with us now for the Chase Australia.